Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line, Dr. Soaries. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now,
Dr. Soaries, this is an amazing year for you, okay? Because first of all, with the First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens, what's happening this year?
Well, I plan to retire in November if coronavirus lets me.
I was wondering, are you still planning to do that? Because I know you said last year in November you were retiring.
Well, I gave the church about 15 months notice, but we didn't anticipate this virus. And right now we're still doing everything virtually. So I'm really thinking hard about the needs of the church and whether or not the transition can actually happen on time. But if it's not on time, it'll be in time.
Right.
now, why are you retiring? Are you focusing on other things? Is it time, or you're tired, or you have other things in the work?
Well, I'm not tired. I'm in good health. The church is strong. We've got 5 generations that are regular participants in the ministry. And I think it's time for me to transition while things are strong. You know, who wants to hold on to the point where the thing is almost dead and then they try to bring somebody in to revive it? And so I think it's time for guys like me with my background and experience to make way for younger leaders while things are going well and while I'm still healthy enough to support the transition.
You did the same thing when you fired your wife too.
We won't talk about that in public.
No, but you said it was time to bring in younger people, right? And you want to make sure that we always are doing that, because we see young people are out there on the front lines right now when it comes to the protesting, when it comes to everything that's happening. It is important for us to make sure that the next younger group of people are ushered in.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, I think when I was coming along, a lot of the older leaders resented the younger people. In fact, they created barriers for us. And if you look around Black America, whether it's churches, organizations, HBCUs, many of them are weak because the old line leadership held on too long. And I think what we're responsible for is transitioning out while we can still breathe and talk and create and be resources to younger people. For instance, the activists today, young people are doing what I did back in the 1970s. I was protesting police brutality, putting cops in jail. I've got experience, I've got knowledge, but it's not my role to jump out in front of the camera and on the mic to lead these protests. And so now I donate money to the protesters. I give them strategic advice. They're using my church on Saturday to start and finish a march. And I'm teaching the young activists, I'm lending support, but I'm not trying to hold on to the microphone and be in front of the camera.
Now, what is the DeFree Global Foundation? What does the foundation do?
Well, thank you. It's DFree, and the foundation teaches churches, community organizations, Greek letter organizations, how to use a strategy to help their members become financially free. The strategy is based on the books that I've written, based on my own experience. As I said, I was an activist in the 70s. We didn't use the word woke back then, but we used the word conscious. But if I update it, I was woke, but I was broke. I was leading protests, but I was getting calls from bill collectors. I was on Gil Noble's TV show, Like It Is, all the time, talking about Black power, Black liberation. But I had no insurance, no savings. And when my father died at 47, my 44-year-old mother became a widow. And if my father had not had insurance, I could not have supported her at all. She'd have been homeless had she depended on me. So I lived for about 12 years, paycheck to paycheck, credit card to credit card. And I was flaunting a lifestyle that looked one way, but I was living a reality that was completely different. And so in that sense, I was a hypocrite because I was considered an emerging young Black leader, and I was leading social protests, but had no financial footing at all. And so DFree is a description of a strategy. It starts with minimizing debt, pay as you go. It continues to focus on delinquencies, pay your bills on time. We spend billions of dollars a year just on late fees because we're not organized. Right. And then delinquency, living with a budget below our means. And when we talk about financial freedom, when we talk about Black economic strength, we often talk at the top, we talk about supporting Black businesses, which is good. We talk about owning Black businesses, which is good. But the reality is, if we're living above our means, if we're paying last month's bills with next week's check, if we have nothing saved, and if we have no strategy for increasing our credit scores and our savings, then we're just talking. We've got hashtags, but we've got no real strategy. So DFree, the foundation, trains organizations for free, and we spread the curriculum. We have a strategy, we have a curriculum, we have tools, and we give them away for free.
What do you tell people today during this pandemic? Because, you know, usually they say, you know, you should have enough for maybe 3 months or 6 months in your account. But obviously that's going to be a lot further than 6 months, you know, seeing what's going on out there. So what do you tell people now with trying to save and trying to survive and trying to make sure they are okay?
Well, the people that I'm close with, I told you so, because we've been preaching this now for 15 years. This is our 15th anniversary of the brand and the strategy and the curriculum. And while I don't want to beat people down, the fact is we've been begging people for 15 years to watch what you spend, to spend strategically, to save money, to live below your means, and to identify strategies for increasing your wealth. We don't talk enough about things we can do with what we have. And so that's number one. Number two, as I mentioned, if you look at the stock market, you know, when you talk about the stock market, you generally think about rich white people. But right now we're on Zoom. If you had bought one share of Zoom stock in February, you'd have paid $70 for it. Today, Zoom is worth $261 per share, which means that some of our brunch money and some of our social money and some of our going out money, if it had been aimed at Zoom stock, we would have increased our wealth by 4 times. And so I think during pandemic, it gives us a perfect time to really assess our finances, to really identify where our money goes. You know, I used to say to my dad, "Dad, I don't know where my money goes." And he'd say back to me, "It doesn't leave home while you're sleeping. I mean, your money goes where you take it." And before we can increase our wealth, what we have to do is to assess where our money is currently going. If I'm paying $185 a month for premium cable, but only watch Bravo and BET, then I need to really switch from premium cable to basic cable and do something concrete with the money that I save. So DJ, it's that kind of focus and common sense, everybody can do it strategy that the DFree Global Foundation teaches.
And you actually have we have a whole conference, a virtual conference that you're leading up that's happening this weekend, July 24th to the 25th. So let's talk about that, from crisis to clarity.
Yeah, you know, again, as an old-time social activist, I'm inspired by the 2,000 cities that saw protests over the last 3 months in response to George Floyd. I'm optimistic about police reform. I love what guys like Sean King are doing. You know, I talked to him on Saturday. He's working on replacing 23,000 district attorneys around the country. I mean, that's great stuff. But at the end of the day, we don't want people to be woke and broke. And so this Friday and Saturday, we are pausing to celebrate the 15 years that we've been trying to help our people from the bottom up in churches and neighborhoods and youth groups understand that we need a financial strategy. And we've got speakers. Miss Angela Yee is one of our speakers because she's been a part of our movement. She came to my church for one of our conferences, and I didn't even know who she was because, you know, I'm old. I watch Good Morning America, but our young people listen to The Breakfast Club. And the place was packed with young people listening to her talk about her entrepreneurial dreams, her home ownership. And so she's one of our speakers this weekend. We have a young guy, Tarek Brooks, who now runs Sean Combs Enterprises. And Tarek, I met Tarek when he worked for Bob Johnson. Tarek is the only young person who has worked for 2 Black billionaires during his career. And he's going to talk about how he got started, what he did with Mr. Johnson and what he's doing with Mr. Combs. We've got a young woman named Shanae Harris, who's the president of the Prudential Foundation. So we've got great speakers and panels to talk about what we have done and where we are planning to go.
All right.
Now, Pastor Soaries, you're also, and I got to bring this up, right? When you actually had the sit down with Don Imus and the Rutgers women's basketball team, when Don Imus said those comments and called them nappy-headed, you know, I don't even want to say it again because I hate that. So anyway, I just want to know what your thoughts are on engaging with people, because right now there's a lot of things that are happening. A lot of people saying, you know, a lot of white people that we've been seeing online that have been going viral, saying awful things to Black people. And I just want to know, as far as engaging when these things happen, what are your thoughts on how people should handle that?
Well, I think we should be upfront and direct. When Don Imus was on the radio and he maligned the integrity and the image of those young women who play basketball at Rutgers, who, by the way, happened to attend my church, I called him directly and said, why'd you do it? I met with him to explain to him that just because he hears Black people using that language with other Black people, that it is not the same dynamic as him being on national radio using that language to denigrate those women, because what is a term of endearment for one group is a term of disgrace and embarrassment used by somebody else. And what we did was we arranged a meeting between Don Imus and the Rutgers women's basketball team, and we insisted that he sit and listen to them explain to him why they were so offended, the impact of his words on their lives. And he apologized, they accepted the apology, and they moved on and finished their academic year. But I just don't believe we should sit back and suck it up all the time. You know, Black people, I think in the last couple of months have risen above the suck up, and white people need to understand that all Black people are trained from our childhood to choose our battles, to kind of suck it up. And every generation has decided to suck up less than the last generation. You know, when I was a child, I watched Tarzan on TV and we just kind of sucked it up. We don't tolerate Tarzan images anymore. And we can't tolerate people denigrating us and offending us with impunity. And that's why I confronted Don Imus.
Absolutely. Well, tell them about the conference one more time that you guys are doing, so people can get in touch, they can check it out, and they can be a part of it.
Yeah, it's sponsored by the DFree Global Foundation, DFree. The site where you can register is mydfree.org, and it's free. We've got speakers, we've got information, we have resources. It's Friday from 11 to 5, and it's Saturday from 11 to 5. You go to the website, you sign in, you get a login, you register, and it's a time to interact with information. Of course, because it's virtual, it means that you can go back and you can access information. One of the downsides of virtuality is that we can't connect and hug and slap each other high five. But the good news about the virtual is that our content remains alive for as long as it's available. And so we're very excited about it. I'm grateful to what the Breakfast Club does. Angela has been our strongest link. But you know, you not only deal with gossip, but you deal with gospel. You not only focus on entertainment, but edutainment. And it's because of resources like these that we're able to spread the word, empower our people, and uplift a generation. Despite all of the onslaught of hatred and barriers, our history and our heritage is such that we've always managed to do things for ourselves when others were opposed to us. And so thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the support and for the work that you do. And I pray that you all will continue to do what you do. You are one of the models of success. You started out in a local radio station. You're now around the country. And despite the fact that this is a tough season, you're making an impact. You're educating our people. You're mobilizing efforts. And I just respect what you do.
Well, thank you, Reverend. We appreciate you for checking in, and good luck this weekend on the conference.
Thank you, Pastor Soaries.
God bless.